Gina, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me now. I said, good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's having a great day. Got a thumbs up from Gina here. I cannot believe the amount of snow we got. We shoveled our driveway 4 times the last time, I think at 11:30 last night, but it's pretty out, but it's been a hot mess to get around in. So hope you're all safe. Hope you're all warm, and let's make this a great week. So we're gonna start out real quick. Gina, you wanna start out with our video we've got? Christy helps us get videos, and she picked 3 great ones. They're just a forewarning. If you're offended, turn off your sound for the next 4 minutes. There is a fair amount of cuss words in here, but it's kicking off 2021. We like the message in here. So thank you, Christy, for helping me find this. Gina, let's play it. Rock and roll on it.
There's nobody in the world has lied to me more than me. How many times do you tell yourself, it's gonna be different this year? How many times have you started the diet saying, oh, this is my year. I'm gonna start this year strong. I'm going to the gym. I'm gonna eat right. 2 weeks later, what'd you do? You lied to yourself.
Real talk. Most of y'all aren't gonna do a fucking thing. And you're gonna be mad at me because I fucking said it, when in reality, you should be mad at yourself because 2 years ago you said shh. Last year you said shh. This year you're saying shh. And next year you're gonna be saying the same shh. How about this for 2021? We look at ourselves in the mirror and we tell ourselves the truth. We look at our lives and we tell ourselves the truth. Truth is this, it's very simple. You're either doing it or you're not doing it. You've either been executing or you haven't been executing. You either are truly ready to make a fucking change or you're not. It doesn't matter how many fucking videos you watch. It doesn't matter how many courses you buy. It doesn't fucking matter. What matters is what you're going to do. You got to make a decision that you are not going to be like everybody else. You are not going to live how they live. You are not going to eat how they eat. You're not going to drink how they drink. You're not going to do the kind of work they can do. And then you got to go do that. And you got to do it one day at a time. Win today. Then you wake up tomorrow and you do the same thing. Then you wake up on Wednesday and you do the same thing. Then you wake up on Thursday and you do the same thing. And when you get to the point where you're winning every day and it's automatic, guess what happens? Winning becomes not something that you aspire to do. Winning becomes who the fuck you are.
I am not phenomenally skilled, but I'm phenomenally willed. My IQ may never change, but my will changes every year. I get stronger and stronger and more determined. Why? Because it's in my DNA. I want to be successful. I want to execute. I want to make all my dreams become a reality. I want to do everything I said I'm going to do. So my appetite increases. It gets stronger every year. I want more every year. I want to do more every year. I want to help more every year. I want to be bolder. I want to be better. I want to be stronger every single year. Every single year, your appetite should go up. You should never get settled. You should never get settled. You should never get content. Every single year.
The waiting and the thinking and the planning, that stuff doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't move you forward. In fact, you're going backwards. You're going backwards because the world is moving forward. So if you're standing still, you're actually going backwards. So don't sit around and think about it anymore. Take action. I don't care how small it is. I don't care how minuscule the movement is, but make movement. Move forward and do that every single day, no matter what.
Be what it is you claim to be about. Be what it is you truly want to be. If you truly want to be successful, if you truly want to change your life, if you truly want to lose 50, 100, 200, 500 fucking pounds, be about it today.
This is not a year that you're going to be doing a lot of talking. This is the year for grinding. This is not the year of dreaming. We're not dreaming no more. We're not wishing no more. We're not watching other people ride the ride no more. We're not watching people cash checks no more. We're not doing that no more. This is our year.
All right, guys. Gina just texted me. She says, I'm getting goosebumps again watching that. So hope that you guys got pumped up a little bit. I apologize for the all the swear words in there. But I would tell you the one thing that I'm seeing, and I'm going to go through some numbers here in a little bit, is the truth is in 2021, the world is changing. If we're not outworking our competition, we're going to get left behind. Scott's going to be on here a little bit, and a big part of today, really, I want to focus on this new purchase agreement. We're getting lots of questions on it, so he's going to run through all the changes and so forth. But I had Scott run some numbers for me last month in December. Scott, tell me if I get these wrong, but I think I have these pretty close to right when you get on. Out of the 3,100 agents, guys, last year, almost, I think it's 29%, almost 30% of them did not sell a single house. We were sitting at like 19%, right under 20%. We were the best, and we got more licensed assistants and non-selling managers than anybody. And Nebraska really was at like 39, almost 40% out of that. But think of that. 900 of the agents in the Omaha market sold 0 houses. And what we're seeing with this crazy low inventory right now is if you're going to do the same old, and you're going to rely upon it, pop it up on MLS, and you're a part-time agent, and you just think it's going to fall into your lap, you're wrong. You're going to have to work harder. You have to be more creative. You're going to have to build stronger relationships if you're going to do more business than everyone else. This industry is going to continue to become the have and have-nots. I want us to be in the have category, every single one of you, which means we got to be focused. We've got to make a new plan. We got to continue to be changing. I wrote down, if we're not growing, we're dying. You've heard me say that many times. The world is going to continue to change, and probably today at a pace we've never seen before. And if we're not, we're being left behind. We're moving backwards. So guys, I'd like to make sure that we're focused. I've had many conversations with many of you in our mastermind groups. We've had some great conversations trying to dial in and figure out what do we need to do to make sure that we're getting listings, because that's the real problem. So Heather pulled for me just yesterday. These numbers keep getting scarier to me by the day. Just yesterday, Douglas and Sarpy County, which is the vast majority, almost 90% of all the metropolitan Omaha transactions done, Douglas and Sarpy County alone, new construction included, once we pull out contract pendings, only had 613 active listings yesterday. Douglas and Sarpy County, once we pull out new construction and contract pendings, as of yesterday, only had 284 active existing listings. 3,100 agents, 284. We're now down to less than 1 in 10 agents has an active existing listing. Yeah, almost everybody has multiple buyers. Megan Owens gave me an example that really put this in mind with me the other day. Someone who usually is carrying 8 to 15 listings had 1. Now, this is a week ago. I think she had a couple more coming up. $219,000 listing, day 1, 52 showings. That's really, to me, the view of this market. 52 showings, 52 buyers, right? A funnel into 1 listing. That's the market we're living in right now. I'm hearing more of you, agent after agent, saying, my last 3, my last 2, my last couple deals, I just took them to new construction. So make sure, even people that say they want to buy existing, make sure you get them out there and register them with the slew of builders that you need to register them with, because so many of them are going to new construction. In the mastermind group last week, someone said that celebrities not really even building under 280, 285 now. So new construction has been the huge winner. The problem that we have in 2021 is we had a lot more spec homes a year ago. This 284 number, that was at about 1,000 existing listings last year. And we thought that was a crazy low inventory number. We've never seen anything near this in our history. So the moral of the story to me is, guys, we've got to be creative. We got to build great relationships with our people, because they're going to be frustrated. We've got to set better expectations up front when they're building a house, and it's going to take longer, and let them understand the process. Let them understand when they're looking at existing houses, how many people they're going to compete against, what prices these are going. In January, we're already seeing houses sell $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 over list price for houses under $250,000. Never seen these things in the world before in this market. I want to go into a couple things, and then I'm going to dive into we got 3 or 4 people speaking on some subject matters. I was on a CEO meeting last week with all the Berkshire Hathaway brokers around the country, and Lawrence Yun, the chief economist for NAR, was on there. In the last 5 years, we've closed between 5.3 and 5.5 million homes. Now he said, and then I in a Q&A, I challenged him on this because I don't believe this to be true for sure in Omaha, and I find it hard to be true in other parts of the country, but maybe we're on an island by ourselves. He believes that that it's going to be up at least 10%, and that we're going to close 6.1 million houses, which is actually over 10%. And so I got on the call and I said, at that time we had 350 some existing listings. I said, we've got all these buyers. They went through interest rates he believes going to be at 3% or below for the year. They're going to creep up a little, but he doesn't see them going over 3%. He says the Fed's going to continue to keep them low because we've got to stimulate the economy and for recovery. And he believes real estate is the catalyst of that. We've said that many times. We agree with that. We agree that there's tons of buyers. He agreed there's not enough new construction out there, so that's not going to help to fill the pipeline before. So I said, with low inventory, regardless of interest rates, regardless of the number of buyers we have, how is it possible we're going to sell more houses? Because I'm sitting here right now thinking we're going to sell 10 to 20% less houses in 2021 unless something drastically changes as we head into the spring and summer months. And he said, I don't know about Omaha, but I just think that all of the activity coming out of last year and the pent-up demand, we're going to sell houses. And so my opinion is we can have all the buyers in the world. And I really pray I'm wrong on this. I pray that you guys have just an obscene amount of listings that are going to be coming on the market here the next 30, 60, 90 days that we're not seeing yet, that's going to help fill this pipeline for buyers. But I know builders are overwhelmed, and many of the builders, you go start going over 500,000, 600,000, you went and talk to them today, you're not getting a house in 2021 with them. It's going to be 2022. So he's saying units for the country are going to be up 10%. The other thing that he says that I am in agreement with is that the average price went up last year. He expects the average price to go up again this year. Two driving forces of that. Number one is that prices are increasing. New construction prices have increased tremendously. Existing homes have increased tremendously. But the second reason the median and the average house is going up, that more people are buying luxury homes than they ever have before because they're traveling less, because they're spending more time there, things we've all said before. So we totally agree. Even in 2021 and beyond, they believe, as we believe, that entry market and move up buyer market, we believe to be probably up to 325 now, because next year I don't see any possible way that you're going to have a new construction home standalone by itself under 300,000 for all practical purposes. Let's remember 2007, 8, 9, as we were going through that evolution of the crash in the economy caused by the real estate industry, that new construction prices coming in 2009 and 2010, even with a serious lack of buyers, did not go down. So I think it's illogical to think that they're going to go down now. And the truth is, the prices in Omaha is relatively low to the Midwest. If you look at Denver, Kansas City, Minneapolis, run around the other metropolitan markets in the Midwest, their land cost is substantially more than ours. So it's not unreasonable to think land costs could continue to go up. We know that we have a shortage of labor. We believe labor costs is going to continue to go up. So guys, we've got to figure out what to do. Build and nurture relationships. Get a hold of your database on a regular basis. Educate them and let them know what's going on in the marketplace, the buying power they have, how much equity they have in that house if they have a house under $300,000 and they're moving up. That rents have went up every year for the last 12 years. By locking into this low interest rate, even if they're paying a higher price than they think, they now got a monthly payment that they know they can handle moving forward. That's not going to go up on them. So a lot of moving parts there. So number of things. I'm going to first have Fred jump on to talk about scopes. So Gina, if you could pop Fred on here with me to talk about scopes on older houses. He always is recommending this to his people when they're doing investment properties. And the reason is we have a lot of liability in that. So Fred, I'm going to let you shoot away on this. And then maybe you and I can just chat back and forth afterwards. Thank you for doing this, Fred. We can't, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
We hear you a lot better now, brother. I can hear you
Okay,
now.
good. Well, good morning, everybody. I thought I would start out by putting a little plug today. Most of you are probably not going to do much to stay home. Get on the MLS, see if you can find yourself a deal. You can start investing. Today is a great example that most business will be closed, but the rental business will continue working hard for you, and you're going to continue getting the rent, no discount for snow, blizzards, okay? So I was asked to cover for a few minutes the importance of doing sewer inspections. more and more and more, I'm hearing problems after problems because agents are not encouraging their buyers to do a sewer inspection. It's probably the most important inspection you could do. And I'm going to give you some examples of horror stories that I've heard. So if you're not doing a home inspection, can you imagine one of your buyers telling you, hey, Vince, my basement flooded yesterday. Not a good call to get. Not a good call to get. I predict that agents are going to have some liability exposure in the future, and you're going to be paying dearly for not encouraging your clients to do sewer inspections. Okay? So why do I recommend a sewer inspection? Because a home inspector will run the washer, or if the property is vacant, they'll run the, the hot and the cold, goes down the drain, and the water drains, and there's no problems. If they run the washer, maybe they got an old washer, does the same thing, no problems. However, when that new buyer comes in with a brand new washer, that speed of that water flows down so fast that it can't keep up because there's problems with their sewer line. A sewer line problem means that could be full of roots, which I'll cover in a minute. It could be that the line is corroded, it's scaling, and it's kind of like having inside of the line is like having razor blades that catches stuff. It could be that the pipe has shifted. It could be that the clay pipe is cracked. And it is as simple as also it could be that it's totally cracked and the water from the sewage is going right down to the dirt where it creates a sinkhole. Okay, so sewer lines are basically no different than anything else. At some point they're going to wear and tear. Okay, so it's important that you do not only the home inspection but also a sewer inspection. Your agency disclosure says that it's your responsibility to promote their best interests of your client. How is not a sewer inspection promoting the best interests of your client? You will be a hero if you do a sewer inspection and find out that the sewer line, that the property is collapsed and is going to require $10,000 to $15,000 worth of work. I just had that happen a month ago, $14,800 that the buyer ended up fixing the sewer line. I've heard of another person that bought a property a year ago that they just found out that they had $9,000 worth of sewer problems. Can you imagine that poor buyer that bought their house FHA and it has to come up with $8,000 because their basement flooded? Okay, so a sewer inspection is very important. How can you tell if you might possibly have a sewer problem? The cast iron pipe, if you notice that if they got a plastic plug, it means that they got problems. So what they do with that problem, they may call Roto-Rooter, and Roto-Rooter will open up the line to stuff the drain, but 2 months later, the roots are going to come back. The only way to find out if you got a problem, do a sewer inspection with a scoping, with a camera. If they can run the camera all the way through it and goes to the city sewer, that means you don't have a problem. But if you can't get through the whole thing, I mean, there's a problem, most likely full of roots, or it could be the line is corroded, the line is collapsed, whatever. Okay, so I recommend, especially older homes. New homes have plastic, PCV. These older homes have cast iron, and then 4 feet away from the house, they may have clay, or they may have cast iron. And cast iron at some point is going to corrode. Okay, so no need to worry about newer homes, but older homes, I recommend to do a scoping. So that's the best way.
Fred, when you're saying older homes versus newer homes, what's your definition there?
The plumber told me homes in the 90s and older. Yeah, the new home, you can see if they got PCV, that's probably there's not a problem.
So any house built 90 or prior, make sure you're recommending that they get a scope. And,
yes.
And by the way, Fred, I got Scott coming in to go through our whole purchase agreement. You and I have talked a little bit. I am going to ask him, does it make sense for us to make an addendum or put a box in this purchase agreement to talk about just like inspections? Now, it says they have the right to do any inspections, but to put a disclosure on, especially these older houses, kind of like just VA lead-based paint, right? That we've informed them of that, because there's serious liability to you as agents. The situation Fred's talking about, if a buyer moves into a house, we've not recommended they do a scope, and all of a sudden, like Fred says, they put a new air conditioner, a new washer dryer in there, and it's pumping water through there, and all of a sudden they find out they got roots in that. That agent's going to have some liability for not at least recommending to protect them, because this usually is happening to usually a first-time home buyer or somebody like that that doesn't have the money to do that. And so it's just going to cause issues where all of a sudden we've got issues possibly at the real estate commission, and we got financial issues possibly. So thank you for the date. So at least 90 or before, make sure you're recommending you're doing this.
The sewer inspection costs $99. The greatest gift you can give to that client, if they don't have the money, pay for it. You will be a hero. You will be a hero. Even if they say, I don't want to do it, and, be forceful. Say, you need to do this. If you don't want to do it, pay for it. I will pay for it. You will be a hero. You don't want that basement to flood, okay? So scaling is a major problem. The sewer line corrodes, okay? It's like having sharp razor blades inside. So they have a special equipment that kind of grinds it all down, so the lines will be nice and smooth and be able to the stuff won't get caught up, and it will flow very nicely. Okay, if there's roots in the sewer line, it's going to keep coming back. One solution is to what they call jetting. Jetting is like having a huge power washer that will suck everything down. It will cut through the roots, and the plumber told me they haven't had any problems at least 5 to 6 years when they jet a line. So that's about $500 to $800. Okay, so if there's a problem in inspection, ask the seller to pay for it, and if the seller doesn't want to pay for it, it's important that the buyer pays for it. Okay, so that's kind of the gist of a sewer inspection. I used Kim Pringle from Plumbing Today. He's one of our preferred vendors. He's going to prepare a PowerPoint when the time is right, and we'll do a lunch and learn, and he's going to show you amazing videos, what the stuff looks like before and after, and what's really involved when you got to dig 14 feet deep to replace the expensive sewer line. So in conclusion, save yourself some potential exposure. You will get sued, and you will not have any recourse. Did you recommend to that buyer to do a sewer inspection, Mr. Agent, Mrs. Agent? No, I didn't. I can assure you their attorney is going to say, why not? Your agency disclosure says you're going to have their back. You didn't have their back. So sewer inspections are more important than anything else, especially for an investor that thinks they know it all. They don't know what the sewer line's like, and you can save yourself a lot of headaches. More importantly, you will be a hero, and they're going to say, you know what, this agent is amazing, saved me $15,000. So any questions I can answer or anything? Vince, is that okay? Or
nope, we're okay, Fred, because I got a couple other things. I want to make sure we got plenty of time to get through this purchase agreement, which kind of related to this. But I want people to understand you've been harping on this for years when we were in the investment mastermind group. So I would hope that 30 or 40 people have this down. But we've always talked about this. We've got to make sure we're reducing our liability and protecting ourselves. But more importantly, I think, Fred, to your point, is we've got to act in the best interest of our clients, and not at least informing them of the possibility on an older house of this being an issue is probably, it's not good at best, and possibly incompetent on our part if we don't do it. So Fred, I appreciate your wisdom, your knowledge, and your sharing with us, but $99 to give someone peace of mind for an extremely expensive habit. And Fred, if they've got to go dig down and do those pipes, it's hardly ever going to be under $9,000, $10,000, right? That's going to be, it could be more than that. I mean, it depends on how far that pipe is and how much concrete they got to go under, and a bunch of things.
Because you got to you got to call the city, because they have to break up the cement. It just depends where the crack is. $15,000 was just Vince, this client the seller had to pay for my client, $15,000. She was an out-of-state buyer from California on her first property. Can you imagine if I wouldn't have recommended a sewer inspection?
Yeah. Fred, we appreciate you, buddy. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Gina, could we get Carrie on here? Carrie's going to give us guys a quick update. We had, I believe Carrie will give you the number, but 104 people signed up for convention. Carrie's going to give you an update. Live convention has been canceled. Carrie, can we, there we are. Carrie, you want to give us an update? I had you said on a call yesterday that Chris Stewart and Berkshire Hathaway was talking about convention, what's going to happen. And those, we've had a number of people, I think you said upwards of 40 or 50, saying I was looking for a live event. I want a refund. We didn't have an answer on that till yesterday. So you sat through the meeting and re-listen to it. So I'm gonna let you kind of give an update to everybody on that.
Yep. So good news for everybody that was planning to attend live. And it's a bummer that we can't go live, but they have agreed to give full refunds to everybody. So that goes across all the companies nationwide. This event is now going to be free for everybody to attend. So that's some exciting news. You get a credit and you get a convention for free. So they're working through some of the special offerings of what's going to be available still. But one of the cool things that any of the university courses that will be available for convention with your registration login will also be available to you for 30 days to watch afterwards. So that'll be cool. Some of the classes you maybe don't get to go to live, you can go back and watch later. They did announce that John Legend is supposedly our entertainment for the Sunshine Kids event. So I think they're doing some kind of a special Sunshine Kids donation tier level thing where you can qualify to join John Legend with a live Q&A session. So if you're a John Legend fan, that should be exciting for you. But yeah,
Carrie, what do they need to do to register? Because some of them were registered, they're going to get refunds, and they're still registered. But those that were not registered, we want to make sure. And if at that point in time, we're going to be in the middle to late March, right, Carrie?
Correct. It's going to be, it's the 21st, 22nd of March.
We're hopeful that we can maybe have kind of like Jay Brown's class that we had in the conference rooms, maybe some show parties in the different offices and stuff like that. So if we have the ability to do that, we'll be doing that in addition to you being able to register and watch that from your office or home or wherever. So what do they do, those not registered, to get registered?
Sure. There's options. You can just reach out to me like you always do and let me know if you want to get signed up. I can take care of that. Excuse me. You also have the option to go to your resource center profile and just register on your own. I don't care either way. I kind of like to know who we have all in one place to see who's registered, but I guess it doesn't really matter for any special reason. So whatever works best for you.
Anything else, Carrie, on it? But we were excited because we were a little worried initially. They were saying they were not going to do refunds. I had, I think, 3 conversations with Chris Stewart. I think I kept making you, I think I drive you a little crazy. I said, well, email them back and ask about this refund again.
Put some pressure on them. Yeah, definitely.
And I did tell Chris, I said, Chris, I said, this is the time we got to do the right thing, because, you know, this is going to have long-term ramifications if people thought they were going and they don't get a refund. So I was very excited, one, that they let anyone get refunds, but more excited. And so I would really hope that we would take advantage of doing this. And I do love the virtual part, you know, because I hear people all the time saying, well, I went to this class, I wanted to go to this one also, but they were in the same time slots and I couldn't do that. So I think that's a big win. Get registered, and then you can go back, you know, the next day or 2 or a week and look at different classes that you didn't have an opportunity to get to. And so it's not going to be, it's full or it was a conflict with another class you wanted to go to. So that's cool.
Another thing they mentioned is the website that they usually have up that has everything convention, all the agendas and profiles on the speakers and sessions. It's down right now because it's being redone because of this new format they're going with. So just I would give it a couple days, and hopefully we'll be able to just send out some more details soon.
Thank you, Carrie.
The other thing, I don't know if we want to mention this, they are allowing us to try to recruit people from other brokerages with this. So if we know somebody from another broker that you want to try to bring over to our company and get them registered and get them a link to sign in for the convention, they can do that for free and kind of get a taste of what we're doing over here. So
perfect. Thank you, Carrie.
Yep.
And Gina, give me about 3 or 4 minutes. Let's pop Kevin on, and we need to limit him to 4 or 5 minutes, but because I want to make sure we got plenty of time for Scott to get through the stuff we need. Carrie brings up a couple things that pops into my head. One is that we had the people that have always chaired my committees for the last number of years, Ashley, Tasha, Mamie, and I got on a call with Gina yesterday and said, what does 2021 look like for the Sunshine Kids? We had our big event planned for for September of 2020. Obviously, COVID hits, and so we canceled that in March or April of last year. And so we don't have this nailed down, but we're excited. We're not positive that we're overly confident about doing a 2,500, 3,000. You know, it was 2,500 people last time. I think if we actually did in the parking lot, we'd be 3,000 plus people in September again. But what we are confident of is that we think we can pull off 4 to 6 events this year that are smaller events. And some of those ideas we're going to be playing on, we're going to get back together in the next couple of weeks. Some of those ideas we're going to be playing with is Lance Cole has already volunteered to help us do the poker parties. We used to do those again. The flamingos we've done. The golf tournament's going to go on again. I'm drawing some blanks and some other things. We said we're going to try to do an online auction, oral and silent auction. So we're going to plan a number of things. But I think the coolest thing that we're going to do is that we're going to reach out to both Methodist and the Med Center, the hospitals that we're always sending kids with cancer to events from, and start getting a list of all the kids they have going through cancers. And every sales meeting, we're going to be featuring, and we're not, you know, we went from doing them from every week to every month. We're getting back to every 3 weeks, and then we plan on getting back to every 2 weeks here on sales meetings here over the next couple of months. But we're going to feature a Sunshine kid, and then we're going to try to talk to their families and figure out what's important to them. We want to do something special for them. And part of that is then each time that we do that, you know, we're just going to say, hey, does anyone, if it's just only $5, $10 a person to help do something special for them. So we're going to find out, you know, is it sports or what is it that's important to them? And we're hoping, you know, we used to send a lot of the kids down to our suite in the CSI Center, and we've had 0 events since February of last year outside of Creighton's now letting us have 6 people into the suite. Thank you. So we want to really get back engaged in getting these kids out there and doing something for them. So we're going to be reaching out again to the Med Center and to a Methodist and talking to those families and figuring out what's important to them, because we want to put a smile on the face of these kids going through cancer. So, and I've got to guess that going through COVID, this has been much more difficult for them, quite honestly, than even other people. Because if you got cancer, you got to make sure you're not getting COVID and you're staying distance and so forth. So we want to get re-engaged. We're not going to probably raise, without our big event, $450,000, but we don't think it's unreasonable to raise $150,000 and maybe even $200,000 with the things that we're going to be doing. So you guys know our heart has always been a heart of giving to others to help them. The Sunshine Kids has always been something very close to us. And so we're excited about getting re-engaged in a meaningful way. And as soon as we figure out we can start doing the big event again, we can, and that's probably going to be next year. But if we can do 5 or 6 smaller events and raise, you know, $20,000 to $50,000, $60,000 for each one of those, which I don't think is unreasonable. And I think the auction could even raise more. We're excited about that. But the focusing on a kid for each sales meeting and doing something special for them, I think is the coolest part of this. And Ashley, we were talking, you know, it's probably not going to go towards our credit for the national recognition, but that's okay, because if we're doing something meaningful for them, that's really the purpose of what we're trying to do here, guys. So I appreciate you guys' support that we've done over the years on this, and I think that's a cool thing. The second thing that popped into my head, as Carrie said, they want us to use sales convention as a vehicle to bring other people and organizations. If there's people that you know of other companies, reach out to Heather, Jay, Scott, Mark, Jennifer, any of us, and tell us those are people that we should reach out to. And there's a rumor that keeps floating around there, which has really floated around forever, that I'm retiring soon. I still got a contract, guys, that goes for an extended period of time, and I've already started talking to Gino about even extending that for 3 years beyond that. So I'm not going anywhere soon. I think most of you know, I do own the building that we're in. So there's a vested interest I had to continue to make sure that this thing runs forever and ever and ever. Plus, the truth is, it's an extension of my legacy. It's my baby. I'm passionate about it. And I'm ADHD. There's a sick part of me. I kind of enjoy working. So anyone telling you that I'm retiring this year or anytime soon, there's just no truth to that. So I want you to know that, to have peace of mind, because it seems to continue to be creeping up out there. And there seems to be some people out there that are saying it on a pretty regular basis. So next, if we could have Kevin pop on real quick to give us an update. And I think there's some changes next week that to their program with AHS. Thank you, Kevin. Shoot away. And I'm going to press you to get through this as fast as you can, if you could.
I'll definitely. Can I just say ditto what Fred said, right? The same reasons why, ditto, yep. The same reasons why you need a sewer inspection are the same reasons why you guys need to recommend and offer a home warranty. It's going to reduce your liability. It's definitely in the best interest of your clients that you're recommending home warranty or talking about home warranty. There was a lawsuit in St. Louis, I believe, where an agent had two different clients, right? He recommended home warranties to one, did not recommend a home warranty to another. AC broke down. He was sued for discrimination. Why are you recommending it to him, but not me? So if you're recommending it, recommend it to everyone. Home warranties will pay for itself, and it could save you thousands, right? I looked at just the claims I had in Iowa and Nebraska, and we paid more than 1,600 claims that were over $1,000. That's phenomenal. We paid out $8 million last year in claims in just Iowa and Nebraska. Looking at Home Services of America, Iowa and Nebraska, 3,700 claims last year, $1.1 million. First, so that includes renewals. First year real estate, 1,500 claims, $826,000. You break that down per claim, that's $327 per claim. Understanding with COVID, people are home more, systems are breaking more, they're under more stress. Every customer typically uses their warranty 3 times a year. That's $982 in claims, okay? So it's gonna pay for itself, and it can save your clients thousands, okay? Make sure you're recommending, promoting, encouraging the home warranty. You're not gonna be disappointed. Your clients won't be disappointed that they had the warranty when they turn on their air conditioner this spring. 2 new exciting coverage additions we're making this year. So starting February 1st, here's shortly, what is that, Sunday? We will be offering roof coverage on all of our contracts enrolled after February 1st. That's going to be a $100 option, and it's going to have a $1,500 limit, okay? So if you have situations, inspections where the inspector says, hey, we couldn't inspect the roof, it's covered with snow, do the snowstorm, here's an option for them. This will give that buyer maybe the confidence they need to not worry about the roof and go ahead and close, okay? We also will be offering unlimited Freon coverage with our Shield Complete plans, okay? So unlimited Freon coverage with Shield Complete, and all that starts February 1st. That's all I had today, Vince. How quick was that?
That's good. Hey, Shannon, can you check my closet? I think Kevin stole a shirt out of there. Kevin, I'm going to have to lock my house. People coming in and out of it when I'm gone, it looks like. I like it, brother. I like it.
All right.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
See you guys. Have a great day.
Have a great day. All right, Maggie, real quick. I'm going to make Maggie real quick, and then we're going to get to Scott because we have probably more on this agenda than we should, guys. So I apologize. Maggie and I have been on a call. We had a call last Thursday or Friday. I don't know. I'm losing track of time here with HomeBot, and we're working on getting a contract with them that we're very excited about, but I'm also a little nervous about because they're giving us a pretty big number of agents that we need to buy into this thing. So Maggie, you want to kind of run through what we're working through and the possibilities. We're not promising this, but we're working on it. But we got to get a temperature from you. We need to know, have you reach out to Maggie if you have an interest in this, because we think this is a crazy cool program. But we got to get a buy-in for the commitment we're going to make here.
Sure. So good morning, everybody. So let's just talk about, I know a lot of you know what HomeBot is already, but let's just kind of cover what it is at a high level. So it's a automated home valuation system. It is going to email that to your clients. It's going to email them their value on a monthly basis. The cool part with this is it provides what would be considered actionable insights about their home, about the loan, about equity that they have in their house, what they can do with that equity. It allows them to look at refi options and payments. So we partnered with Prosperity Home Mortgage for a free 3-month trial. And just really quickly, I would say we had about 150 agents that were allowed to participate, and we had probably about 55, 56 agents that actually turned in contacts. So of that, and keep in mind, guys, this was over the holidays, so it kind of kicked off right before Thanksgiving, and it rolled. It's rolling through the end of January. But of that, we had a 65% open rate on those email messages, which is huge. I mean, you don't see open rates like that in drip email campaigns or anything else that you're kind of out there doing. So And part of the reason why we think there was a lot of success with it is, one, it's coming from you, it's coming from somebody they know. But it's also co-branded with the lender on the lender side. So you're providing them the home valuation, and you're also providing them information about what they can do with the equity in their house. So we had 241 owners adjust their value. So it is, it is still a home valuation. The client or your clients can go in and they can say, hey, this is wrong. We have a finished basement, or, we have a full bath here, not a half bath, and it will adjust their value for them. Of that, the agents that participated in this trial, we had 65 CMA requests come in over that 3-month period. So that would have gone directly to one of the agents that participates. There's somebody on the client side that said, yeah, I want to know the value of my house. I want to see what I can get it to sell for. So in that short amount of time, again, over the holidays, that's a really, really good result. And then just on the mortgage side in general, we had about 204 clients that did something with the mortgage calculator. It's got a slider, so they can say, okay, if I'm going to pay an extra $1,000 a month, or if I want to pay an extra $500 a month on my mortgage payment, what is that going to do? And how soon can I pay off my mortgage? It also allows them to look at refi options. So pulling the equity out and buying up, exactly what Vince was talking about when we kicked off this meeting. So Vince is right. We have a really, really good deal through HomeBot. I would say street rate is $25 a month. If we can get 265 of us committed, that's going to be about $12 a month. So more than half off what you could go direct to their site to do.
And so Maggie, all the people already paying $25 would also, we've already got negotiated that the people paying $25, which seems to be a chunk of you. We're trying to wrap our arms around exactly how many. We know how many are using the BHHS email address, but we don't know. We're trying to get a number of those not using it. So please reach out to Maggie if you are using that, so we can get that towards our account. And then if you have an interest in this, but 65% interest rate, and we've heard the open rate of anywhere from 60 to 75, right? But that's monthly that these things are being opened. It's coming from you, and the great thing is it's coming from you, and there's a call to action to you if they want to actually know the real value of their house. This is kind of like a Zestimate to a certain extent. They're not going to, this is not going to be the exact value of their house. They're going to come in and have the ability to tweak the value of their house, but also we don't want it to be the exact value of the house, because if we're giving the exact value of their house, that takes away some of the value that we bring to the process. So we want there to be a call to action to us as the agent in that process. So Maggie, I hate to do this. I'm going to kick you off, but guys, please, any interest in this, reach out to Maggie. Maggie's going to be putting an email out to all of you addressing this here. We love HomeBot. I would tell you the people that we've had utilizing it has said it's a great way for them to continue to stay in contact. And remember, that's what we're continuing to say. We got to communicate more frequently, more clarity, and more value than we ever have before. This is one of the vehicles that helps you do that, guys. Thank you, Maggie.
Yep, thank you.
So we don't run out of time here. We're going to definitely take up our whole hour today. Gina, get on Scott, and let's get some words of wisdom on this new purchase agreement that we're getting questions on. I'm going to Scott kind of run through what's going on. Fred just also shot me a text saying that that he would be willing to take the head on us doing another flip house and give him those proceeds to Sunshine Kids. So that could be another bucket that we could possibly utilize to raise some money and have a project for the Sunshine Kids. So Scott, you want to start running through the purchase agreement? Definitely talk about all the changes, but kind of focus on the major changes that we've had some conversations on, which I think really the most conversations I've had is on the inspection component of this thing.
Right, and that's going to be the biggest change. The first question is what is this and why? And there's a Lincoln board, and then there's an Omaha board. And the Lincoln board had their own form, and Omaha had their own form. And then a couple of years ago, we combined our MLSs, and as we've seen some cross-market activity, we've got some issues with trying to understand both sides' purchase agreement and how that might affect. Lincoln being a good example, when they'd come up here and write an offer in Omaha, it would do the taxes wrong, which would create a tax issue for a seller that shouldn't have been there just because of how it said in the purchase agreement how it's supposed to be calculated. So this form is a combination of those two. It's a compromise. And with all compromises, there's stuff in there that you might like, and there's going to be stuff in there that you don't like. But to kind of go through it, we got the majority of what we wanted. where we gave ground was sort of in that inspection clause to try to get this thing together so we'd use it going forward. But going through it, it's relatively, you can only write these things so many ways, and they have to have basically a lot of the same language that you're already used to. So I'm going to go by paragraph. Thank you, Gina. So paragraph 1, easy, property address, same. Paragraph 2, legal description, same, you're used to that. Paragraph 3, there's changes in here, but these are changes to make it easier to frankly cut down on debates that we were having over kind of new technology. The Ring doorbells, the thermostats, the light switches, TV mounts, all those other things that would become a debate when you'd go through a walkthrough and people would say, where is it? Why is it gone? We get into a debate over whether it was a fixture or not. Within this clause now, it's just very simple. You can click on it. You want to make sure that you get those things, click on them, and then you're not going to have a buyer that's upset when we get that it's already there, and the seller is going to have to live with the fact that they have to give it up or they'd have to negotiate it out. So that's a new thing in the paragraph, the additional categories that we put in there to kind of cover the new technology that we're seeing out there. Paragraph 4, conveyance, same thing that you're already used to. Warranty deed, quitclaim deed, same normal stuff. Assessments, same language that you're used to. Assessments, nothing new there. Consideration, same things you're used to, right? This is what they're going to buy it for. This is what the earnest amount is going to be. It's going to be paid at closing. Boom, easy. Paragraph 7. So this is a little different, but the language is the same. It just, what you'll notice here is that it basically has the receipt within the paragraph. So paragraph 7, it'll say delivered by, received by. And so that receipt language, as opposed to being at the end of the purchase agreement, has now been brought into this language. The whole point of this, as long as a 10-page contract is, to try to cut down on some redundancies and some confusion that people would see where they go, where do I fill this out? Where does this go? Where's that? All of it's supposed to be it's supposed to allow it for it to flow easier, so it's easier to pick up. So you'll see that in that paragraph 7, there's a receipt right in there. It also has some language in there about, what happens if contract doesn't go through, money returned to the purchaser or held back by the seller. Has some language in there, what happens if the money's sitting in a title company and the fact that you might need to get a release signed. Language that you're used to, kind of practices that you're used to. If you get to paragraph 8, very same language, but you'll notice that 822, instead of having one lender that you can select, we now have 3 different lenders that you can put in there. Basically apply for financing within 5 days. Now remember, any date within this contract, if it says 5 days or 14 days, either party can shorten that up. Buyer can say it's 4 days or 3 days. Seller could counter back and say, no, I want it to be 2 days. That is all negotiable. Everything in here is basically negotiable. Timelines are there to be negotiated. So don't worry about if it says something that you feels like too long of a period of time. Counter back, shorten it up, take care of the problem that way. One thing that has been pointed out, which has been brought to the attention of legal counsel for the Great Plains MLS, is that if you look at 822, it says this. It says, upon notification of purchaser of a loan denial, right? We had a financing contingency that failed. Purchaser shall notify the seller of such denial within 1 business day. Great. Unless otherwise agreed to by buyer and seller, the agreement shall be deemed null and void 5 days after following such notice. Now, what it doesn't say is that the earnest money is returned to the purchaser. That is the intent. That's what null and void means. You don't need that legally to get there, but we agree that it's something that people don't want to get into fights with over sellers. So we've referenced that. We've made it clear that they're going to have to, we're going to reference that, and they're going to make that an addition going forward. Honestly, if you see things in here, typos, things like that, I've seen some typos in it that I've set on, or things that don't make sense, let us know. This form isn't set in stone. It can be improved. It can be fixed, assuming we get enough people on board who want to agree to make those changes. Paragraph 9, that is just the sale contingency. You're used to that language. 9.1, contingent upon sale closing. 9.2, upon a purchase of property being under contract or closing. If you go into 9.2.2, one of the things that you'll see is that one of the things that's going to be important to note, and that's going to come a little later on, is the closing date. in our OABR form, it said approximate closing date, which has created issues over the years as to what approximate means, how long does approximate mean, everything else. It's now a firm closing date. It basically says we're going to close on this date. And so if you're going to extend it past that date, you're going to have to do an addendum to set a new closing date. It does have language in there, just like we did in the old OABR form, that the closing date could be extended to allow for the lender to underwrite the loan if they haven't got it done yet. Now, the thing is that what we have now is we've got a hard closing date, and then it can extend, but it can only extend for 14 days. The language that was in the OABR form said that they had 14 days, and if the buyer hadn't gotten approval for the loan at that point, the seller's option was to terminate the contract. That was 10 days into the OABR form. It says 14 days here. This now says that either party has the right to, if buyer's tired of not getting approval or doesn't want to continue on, they can get out. Seller can also get out. That creates, and I know that creates some issues on new construction. So there's language that I put together that I will send out to everyone if you represent a builder, and closing dates are of course fluid with that because it's based off of completion timelines, all that other stuff, and you don't want a buyer to be able to just get out because we all agreed to a February 1st closing date, but the house isn't going to be done until then. There's just simple language that you can use to take care of that problem. So that is 9.2. So we go to 10, that's other provisions. That's just things that you can write in normal black blanks. Paragraph 11, this is where we solve the problem with the Lincoln form versus the Omaha form on how taxes are treated. Taxes are treated differently in Douglas and Sarpy County than they are anywhere else in the state of Nebraska. So in Lancaster, they're paid differently than they're paid up here. So we're a little unique here on that, but we've got the most population, so we've always done it this differently. And so that was just corrected. So now when this form comes up written by a Lincoln agent, it's going to be fine. If a form's written in Lincoln by an Omaha agent, it's going to be fine. Not a big problem. So that was just there to take care of the problem. Paragraph 12, that's conveyance, title, and closing, talks about title insurance, title exceptions, closing dates, and then again, 12.3, that's the closing date language. That's where it doesn't say approximate anymore. It just sets a closing date. Now, paragraph 13, that's where we got into that language where I was talking about earlier, where it said something about the 14 days. And this now, they're trying to be consistent. We had different dates in the OABR for different conditions. If there was a title defect, you'd have this many days. If you had you had an inspection date, it was going to be this many days. If it was going to not close in time, you had this many days. It's being consistent throughout the purchase agreement that 14 calendar days is the dates that we're going to use, which again, you have the right to tighten up if you need to. So in that 13, it talks about those conditions, what title conditions need to be cured, the lender underwriting that has to be cured, and then, basically those dates are now going to be put through here as to how long this purchase agreement can go after the set closing date, which is that 14 days. Paragraph 14, as for closing, you're used to that. Paragraph 15, surveying language, it kind of sets forth the optional surveys that you can do. The improvement location, that's the easiest survey. The boundary and improvement location survey, that's a little more in depth. And then there's what's called the ALTA survey. That is a very comprehensive survey. That's going to show you everything you can possibly show. It's going to show you where easements run. It's going to show you locations of improvements. It might even show the topography of the property, of the land. It goes very in depth, and it's an expensive survey to have, but it makes sense on, if you're selling acreages or something like that, where boundary lines are important. And then home warranty, you're used to that, nothing big. Wood infestation, you're very used to that, same language that you're used to. Now, property inspection, paragraph 18. This is going to be the biggest change for Omaha agents. This is the language that's being used, has been used in Lincoln for years and years. And basically what it's trying to do is just create a due diligence period. Basically it goes, buyer, you have the right to do whatever inspections that you want to do in that inspection period of time. You want to do a radon, you can do a radon. You want to do a whole house inspection, you do that. You want to do a roof inspection, you want to do that. You can do all those things within that period of time. Same thing that they could do beforehand, but they would have to call it out in the old purchase agreement. In the new one, they don't necessarily need to call it, or they don't need to call it out. We'll actually put together a form that you as a buyer's agent can go over with your buyer saying, hey, what inspections do you want to select? Do you want to, go with that 99 sewer inspection because of everything that Fred said about it today? That'll be on there as something that you could select. We'll also have the language on there that we recommend sewer inspections, things like that. So we're going to try to use that form to give you basically give you a form that you can sit down and talk with your buyers over, hey, what inspection might you want? Now, of course, seller, this is where the controversy comes in. The seller's list agent wants to go, well, I want to know what inspections are going to be done. Some do, some don't. If you want to, and you want to limit it, you can always counter back and say, buyer to tell what inspections will be elected subject to seller's approval. Or you can counter back and say, radon inspection will not be allowed, or roof inspection, whatever you want to do that you can limit what they can do. That's completely up to you, and that's part of any kind of negotiation that you want to do with it. So that's the big difference there, which is it doesn't go into what inspections are going to do, leaving it up to the buyer, but the seller still has rights to basically say, hey, I don't want them to do that, or this is what it's going to mean if they do that. And so that's up to negotiation. So that's kind of the biggest clause that you're going to notice that there's a big change on. One of the questions is, what form do we use for resolution? You're going to still use that same A, B, and C form because it provides that language within the contract. So that won't change, A, B, and C. The other thing that you'll see in the inspection resolution, in that OABR form, when the new purchase agreement came out, it sort of changed something where it basically said, look, if buyer doesn't respond or seller doesn't respond, then the contract terminates. As opposed to what it used to, well, the old form used to say, hey, if buyer doesn't approve it, or seller doesn't respond, the contract just terminates. The OABR form basically said, well, buyer, you bought the property now. If you haven't responded and say you're not accepting it, you bought it. This is the reverse of that. It goes back to, hey, look, if they don't agree on something, the contract just dies of its own volition. There's no mandatory buy. Buyer can't be caught because they didn't respond in the right amount of time to reject it. It just kind of goes away and becomes null and void. The money can be returned back to the buyer in that case. So I think that's better language because, frankly, we never actually saw a situation where someone was forced to buy because of the buyer's inaction in not responding, that the inspection wasn't acceptable to them, or the seller's resolutions weren't acceptable to them, where they became buying it, in its as-is condition. Let's see here, 18.8. In that Omaha, one of the things that's interesting in Lancaster County and Lincoln down there, radon tests just aren't used much. Radon mitigation isn't done much. It was just not an issue for them. And so they didn't understand why it was such a big issue for us. We said, well, Omaha is a very, very big radon test, very, very big radon mitigation thing. And so one of the things that Vince and I pushed for and we got in here is to make sure that they had this language in there that it's not debatable that if radon is below 4, then buyer just has to accept it. They can't ask for it. If it's above that 4 or below 4 and above, then it's negotiable. Buyer can ask for it to be remediated, and it's going to be up to the seller. It's not automatic like it was in the old contract, which is also fair because in this contract, we don't know if they're going to elect it unless we make sure that's a term of our contract that they have to tell us that they're going to elect it. So that's 18.8. That should, continue to clear up some of the issues that we have with radon and avoid, further issues. Okay, now 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, all the way through it. This isn't new language for you. It's all the same that you've already seen. There's nothing new within it. It does have that arbitration clause in it that you're used to, that you have the right to elect in or out, depending on what your client wants to do. And so getting through it, very similar, nothing special. Now, the one thing that you'll notice is at the very end, go ahead and go to the end, Gina, because everything here that you see is they're used to, is that there's no receipt of fully executed purchase agreement language. The reason that was removed is, 1, they didn't use it in Lincoln, and 2, it's not needed. It's kind of from a bygone era where we used to have this thing where you have to have a receipt that they got it. And the problem was people would think that was the acceptance of a counter offer, and they'd sign that, or they wouldn't write it out properly, and it was improperly done a significant amount of time. Since it wasn't necessary, it was removed. So that's not there any longer, and you don't need to use it or count on it anymore. If it's signed and the contract is signed and delivered, it's then a fully binding purchase agreement, and it takes care of itself at that point. So that is going through it at, lightning speed, try to hit the scores and highlights on it. You could spend, a long time on it if you wanted to. And of course, we're going to come up against things that we're going to basically find things that aren't working that need to be fixed, and we're going to fix those as we go. So you don't need to be scared of the fact that there might be something in there that looks wrong. It can be fixed, and it will be fixed if needed.
Scott, I am got to tell you, I'm amazed with that presentation. We were at 226 when we started. We only went to 218. You held everyone's attention, giving the greatest, most boring. No,
I know.
No, but this is important stuff, guys. So we obviously took up our whole hour here. Please reach out, Scott Fair. Just have them reach out to you if they've got questions on this. I know the majority of the questions have been on the inspection thing, and I think you covered it really saying, listen, you can counter back if you want to be less days. You can counter back if you don't want them to make it subject to the rate on inspection, right? So the seller has the listing agent seller has the right to do any of those type of things, as they've always had the right to do.
It's a negotiation.
So has that been the most common questions you've got? Mine have been on the inspection part of that. Have you had other questions that I'm missing that have really stood out to you, Scott?
Yeah, it's the inspection clause, which is seller agents don't like the fact not knowing what those inspections are called out, which I get. I understand why that could be a concern for people. But again, you can negotiate that. You can tighten up those timelines. You can say you have to tell us if you're going to elect a rate on. All that stuff is negotiable. It just depends on what you want to do with it. The idea behind keeping it open, like what we'd call a commercial due diligence period, is kind of we have nothing to hide as the seller, right? If you want to do these inspections, do these inspections. We're not trying to limit our liability in any way. You do whatever you want to do, and you come back to us and you tell us what's right or wrong with it, and we can handle it from there. So it's ideally set up as a way to try to limit our seller's liability, because as opposed to I don't want you to do that, or well, why don't you want us to do that? And that's kind of the idea behind it.
Scott, thank you very much. Appreciate all of your work on this. I know you've been, I signed this to you. You have more patience than I do. So I appreciate you helping us muscle through this. And I think we think it's overall fairly, there was some degree of compromise, right? But overall fairly, we think we got more of what we wanted than what we didn't want. And it did make sense with us having a merged MLS to have one uniform purchase agreement.
I'd say, yeah, from where it started when we got involved in it after they brought back the.
And by the way, they didn't ask us to be involved in the beginning, and we kind of basically told them that we will be involved or we won't be using the agreement.
Yeah, our position would have been with the draft that they had originally, we wouldn't have used it. We would have done our own purchase agreement. And so we were able to get enough of the stuff that we felt like it was worthwhile going forward and being part of it, because it does help everybody to all use the same form. Guys, with that, I had a couple other notes. We're not going to do it. We will be having a sales meeting. Gina, unmute yourself. What's our next sales meeting scheduled for? I know we've got one scheduled for February. Can you give me the date on that? Are you listening to me, Gina?
February 16th.
February 16th. So that's 3 weeks from now?
Yeah.
Yes. Guys, so 3 weeks from now, what I'm going to do is I'll have a panel of top producers walking through what's going on. And I really want to dive into the dynamics of, what are they doing to calm the nerves of their buyers? What are they doing to find listings? What are they doing to find listings for their buyers that are frustrated? So it's going to be an interesting year. Let's hope the National Association of Realtors is right and units will be up 10% this year, but let's be prepared that if it's down 10 to 20%. Remember, those of you working, communicating with your clients, reaching out, getting creative, you're going to win. That's the bus that we want to be on, guys. Proud of you, love you. Going to run through a bunch of other things. Broker exclusives, the last thing I do want to touch on. We had over $530 million of broker exclusives last year. I think we're about 380 last year. We were pushing for $150 million plus of broker exclusives. That's a vehicle. Make sure you get a broker exclusive or a coming soon, no showing status. If that seller is going to list that house a week, 2 or 3 weeks down the road, a month down the road, because too many people are out there farming neighborhoods, doing shitty litter, stuff like that. And the next thing you know, if you've not protected yourself, even if they told you they're going to list it, you're going to lose out and there's no protection for you. So guys, I appreciate you. Stay warm. Have a wonderful day. Get out there. Let's keep working. We're here to help you. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.